Hey there, welcome to this very unique little challenge I've randomly decided to take on during my holiday break. I'm an avid player of Master Mode Hardcore Terraria and I've been attempting several challenges but none of it was as challenging as this one, since the game would start out normally and as you progress into this world the difficulty curve goes exponential. At first it's essentially just a normal Master Mode Hardcore run, but at one point every single enemies in this game will start to one-shot you. Oh, and by the way, I've actually attempted this challenge once, but as soon as I was about to fight Wall of Flesh I leapt down my hell elevator and forgot I was doing a no accessory run and died to fall damage before the fight had even begun, and so here I am in my second attempt. Though this time around, I'm not going to be allowing myself to use any permanent upgrades at all. That means no life crystal, no mana crystal, and even all the things you can get from Shimmer like the ambrosia. Welcome to no accessories and no permanent upgrades run. I started off this challenge like how you would expect a generic Terraria video to start. Just a simple montage killing my first slimes. Except this time I actually found a pinky that ended up giving me 5 gold, which was useful. I could get a merchant right now, but I was too lazy to make a housing, so I just kept chopping wood and going left. Now let's introduce you to a Terraria term I just pulled out of my ass on the spot. Puddling. I've played Terraria for a while that when a puddle looks weird enough to me I'm able to tell that there could be a sky island almost directly above. And sure enough there is one. I quickly tried to loot but was trapped by 3 harpies. As I was about to mine out, I saw an opportunity to get out, so I sure as hell did. I looked at the map and triangulated the position I would land safely inside a water puddle and executed my plan. I made a few stops to kill slimes and chop down even more trees so that I could use them as blocks to get around the terrain. Then I straight up just started walking left, but not before a vulture decided to attack me. Luckily enough I had enough skill to edge the vulture to its death. Do not take that one literally. I looted the chest and went inside the cave for more chests and then quickly got out as soon as I found the third one. According to my experience it's not worth going into a natural cave after the third chest. Now I was almost certain that the left biome is jungle judging from the terrain, and it sure is. Now introducing you to another term I pulled out of my ass again. Early jungling. This time the meaning is pretty much straightforward, basically just storming into the jungle and then looting and killing everything in your sight. But of course I had to be cautious because all of these will most likely one-shot me. Even one poison injection could lead to a miserable fate. Oh, and you see that hornet? I challenge you to subscribe and smash that like button before I kill that hornet. Congratulations, you've won the challenge, or maybe you didn't. Anyway, I started slaughtering some man-eater by literally going in circles. Sure enough I spotted another one right away, so I made an area and tried to go for the swag bomb lock technique. And I sure as hell did that perfectly. So anyway I just started spammed left click for 5 minutes. I kept going deeper down the cave. I found 3 enemies, but luckily enough I had the power of feather falling potion on my side. Feather falling is such an underrated potion. It's so underrated that it's crazy. You could have a wing mobility and control in pre-boss stage, and it's even better combined with hook. I'm sure most people just aren't a fan of having to press S button to fall down faster, but I'd say it's completely worth training for. So anyway I just started slaughtering the entire jungle. Please enjoy this little montage. Oh, and here is a Subway Surfers video in case you are suffering with attention span. Alright, I got pretty bored and found everything I was looking for, so I decided to go back home. Immediately, I started building a lot of NPC jails. I mean jails. I mean housings. I started crafting and placing down the crafting stations and the chest and decided to head to the right as I wait for NPCs to spawn. Sure enough, I stumbled upon the Crimson, but I did not expect it to be this close to spawn. So anyway, here is why feather falling is completely overpowered. Not only can you through the terrain easily, but it can also be a good building utility. I went down the Crimson Cave and blocked everything, getting myself ready for our first Master Mode hardcore boss. Yep, that is Eye of Cthulhu, how could you guess? Anyway, please enjoy this boss fight. After abusing honey buckets and mid-fight bomb locks, I beat the Eye of Cthulhu and went back home immediately, this time making sure to organize everything and set up all the necessary crafting stations that I could think of. I decided to give Eye of Cthulhu, for real this time, one try. I seriously think they should probably rework this boss. It could be very controversial, but the way this boss works is really janky. I mean, seriously, look at the way it just locks into the player. The smaller eyes are also a pretty bad concept, and it only favors the melee class mostly. I can definitely beat it, but there is one thing I did not take into account. I was fighting it when it was already going to be daytime. To the moon it goes. The sun rises, and I decided to put some work into this world right away. I traveled to the desert with pylon positions planned in my mind. I built the desert's housings. I mean jails. I went back home and saw the traveling merchant arrive, but he did not sell anything too useful except for the lifeform analyzer, so I just went and made my early plant farm. I intend to upgrade this to a semi-automatic farm later. Also, I'm surprised that planter boxes does not invalidate NPC jails. I walked to the left and set up the NPC and decided to go up there to farm some harpies. This is required for the feather falling potion, and I don't think I need to keep explaining why I love it so much. I jumped down and timed my hook to negate fall damage and then went to finally buy the pylon and a few hundred muskets. I also got dynamites from the demolitionist so I could turn dirty ass sand into literal elixir known as Terraria potions. I went to grab water so I could craft the water bottled and then realized I have to literally be submerged to craft it. Anyway, sure enough, I was able to craft a few of them, but I prioritized the feather falling over anything. Eye of Cthulhu was not too much of a challenge for me, even without any accessories at all. The eye could be dodged with just some vertical mobilities. And we already substituted these requirements using the feather falling potion. Please take a shot every time I mention this freaking potion. Anyway, the boss fight went by smoothly and I only got hit once, but it was not too bad since I could just heal up. Also, I forgot to mention I'm wearing a mixed armor set between jungle and crimtane. Anyway, I grabbed all the stuff and sold it because these accessories are banned in this challenge. I organized everything and the next day I went straight to the right. With the jungle being in the left side, that means snow and dungeon is guaranteed to be on the opposite side, so I first planned more jails. Since the snow is going to be pretty close to dungeon, I decided to just build one at the edge of the biome, and sure enough the dungeon is almost right next to it. I went all the way to the right and set up a few more jails and recruited Angler into the slavery forces, I mean the team. And with that in mind, I started duplicating water to make multiple fishing pools. I wish there was a faster way to do this early game, but it is what it is. After holding left click for 10 minutes straight, all the 300 blocks were filled with water and I was pumped up enough to make another fishing spot at the snow biome. If you're asking why underground, it's for the quest. I got the quest fish, in which I decided to throw it to the angler sometime later and got some more baits. I also decided to transform this huge pond into a cozy fishing spot, in which I then began to fish in this spot for about an hour straight, concentrated on the screen. Pro fisher tip: bind left click to something on your keyboard so you have an easier time doing all of this. Well, an unfortunate thing happened the next day. My dumbass decided to record the video in one take, and if I remember correctly the entire recording was 9 hours. If you hadn't guessed what I was about to say next, basically I'm telling you that the recording corrupted because it was pushing my drive space down to 0 byte and the encoding couldn't finish. I'll make sure this doesn't happen next time by recording the video in parts, but I'll explain what happened. I went to mine hellstone and got molten pickaxe and the best mining gear without accessories, and then I decided to make a grid out of the world and use all those blocks to make a sky tunnel across the world. I invested more than 8 platinum into dynasty block since it was only about 50 gold per 9,999 stack, and turned them all into walls. I went to build the Skeletron arena and took it down and farmed in the dungeon in the last 30 minutes and crafted the essentials. Anyway, so this is where we are at now. After doing every single necessary preparation I could think of, I decided to head to work for the Wall of Flesh arena right away. It took me quite some time to get used to this biome and the terrifyingly high spawn rate. I built a middle bridge and used explosives and wires to take down every single buildings that got in my way. While you're watching me prep the arena, I want to tell you something about the game. I tried making the spawn for the goblin army, but it didn't work when I used it. You need a player with at least 200 health for the spawn to work, but we can't use life crystals, so getting the goblin NPC is indeed impossible. Now, don't think the goblin is useless just because you think you can just shimmer to reforge. In this challenge, we can't use the Tinkerer's Workshop either, so nope. To get cool stuff like the grand design for placing or cutting wires instantly anywhere on the screen or the shell phone for changing spawn points, we need that Tinkerer's Workshop. This adds even more depth to this challenge. So basically, after having defeated Wall of Flesh, I rushed to see if there are any corrupted pylons. Judging from how the clouds moved to the left when the world first started, I determined that the crimson is going to be on the left, so I immediately sprinted to the left side with my mount. Luckily enough, the V-shaped pattern didn't hit any biomes too hard, so I went to check the right side, and I was again pretty lucky that the hallowed biome replaced a part of the crimson. So I did what you would already have expected and built a fishing pool, and of course this will be the last time I will ever get to fish inside this world because other than getting hard mode ores, Ichor Soul of Night and Light, I don't see any more uses. I immediately concentrated for about 2 to 3 hours and got everything to start with. So I went to get the frost shard so I could craft the frost breastplate, which would be combined with adamantite mask and orichalcum leggings. The reason I picked this combination is because of the fact that it gives the best damage per second because I'm playing a ranger and summoner hybrid. The mithril leggings is not utilized because minions do not do critical hits. Anyway, I started farming some mimics by literally walking through my tunnel and shooting. And I eventually got the dart rifle, and even better, it's the best reforge. I think dart rifle is a really impressive weapon and also really underrated. If you combine it with the crystal dart it can bounce onto enemies. Or even better if you combine it with the Ichor dart because it splits into a lot of bullets and also penetrates armor. Do not underestimate armor penetration because they could help you deal double or even triple the DPS in some cases. Anyway, I went back to hell to grab the closest gelatin crystal and finish the arena. Please enjoy this fight. I was thinking that I probably shouldn't narrate over this, but screw it, I'm here to tell you about the strategy. But what strategy, you may ask? There is no strategy, I'm literally just leading it to the arena and then fighting it there. Maybe I should pull another Terraria term out of my ass again. Arena Escort. This is when your dumbass decides to spawn the boss 3,000 kilometers away from your arena and you have to walk it all the way over there at a snail pace or else it would despawn. Anyway, we're here and that means this infamous boss fight known for some painfully bad game design officially begins. After farming the shit out of Queen Slime and finally getting the mount I wanted, I started finally getting rid of the meteor biome and made some space for the preparation for our next boss right away. I'm not sure, but I think this boss is called Devourer of God. If you think I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments section. I again used explosives which are much more controllable than those stupid dynamites to clear out the area. And I'm not going to lie, I think I accidentally killed the angler in the process, but let's not talk about that. Anyway, I need to start talking about this godsend mount I just ripped out of that Queen Slimacy. It's such a mouthful to pronounce, so I'm not even going to bother, but know that it gives you insane vertical mobility and most important of all, it finally makes me immune to fall damage. Actually, why would that even matter, because I think I'm still going to be paranoid. Right now I can't think of anything to say to fill in this gap. So, did you know if you place a chest in jungle and rename it to Queen Bee, the game would actually change its texture to a honey chest? Make sure to try it out today since it's the International Bee Day. So anyway, I started measuring the arena and decided to space each layer by 30 blocks. If you're asking me why it has to be that specific, it's because by spacing out the arena by 30 blocks you can actually summon Herobrine and make him fight the boss for you at the cost of 2 platinum coins. It didn't take me too long to catch truffle worms, cosmic worms hiding inside this biome, and went to the galaxy right away to summon our next boss, the Devourer of God. Oh, shout out to Terraria for giving me the seaside crate, I totally meant to fish for it. boss fight definitely took a long time, and so here I am, speeding it up because I don't think I want to put a whole 8 minutes worth of footage in here. I'll probably post the full fight sometime later instead. After having obtained Tsunami from my first attempt, I went back to grind the boss a few more times, hoping for the Tempest Staff, Staff of MECHS, which will be my go-to minion up until Terra Prisma. The boss did put me in panic several times, and during one of the attempts I had to pause the game for 30 minutes to calm my nerves down. But anyway, I managed to commit genocide on the entirety of ocean population and got my hands on the Tempest Staff, though not a very impressive reform. But I'm not sure if I want to fight it again because there are risks of me dying in this very hardcore world that I poured a considerable of effort into. Alright, now, this half of the video is basically going to be a boss rush, though before engaging myself in a boss rush I decided to make a jungle mob farm in advance. After defeating Plantera, I planned to shimmer some dungeon brick walls into cursed dungeon brick walls, allowing me to effortlessly grind dungeon enemies without risking my lifespan. And while you're watching me make this arena, let me explain as to why I think rushing the bosses is a good idea. I know some people in the audience might say that I'm supposed to be enjoying each stage of the game, but we're doing a hardcore challenge, and that means I could easily drop dead if I laze around doing nothing. The longer I wait, the higher possibilities I might die to some inconvenience. So I decided to plan 3 steps ahead and break through this stage of the game. Prior to all of this, I already crafted 3 of the boss summons, and when it gets to nighttime I would teleport to the arena all the way on the right and fight each boss individually. Anyway, I used the same old explosives to clear out the area quickly. If you want a guide on how to make this farm, basically go down to the cavern's lair and place 170 blocks horizontally in any direction, and then from both ends place 101 blocks downwards. And then clear all of the blocks inside the arena using any methods you prefer, and finish up the area by connecting both ends. After that, go 50 blocks above from the bottom and make a middle bridge spanning across the area, and then mark the area on the 84th block as the center, and then build the classic volcano farm as shown in this video. And lastly, build the AFK spot however you like. This farm could be optimized by being in the jungle and using water candle for more enemies. Anyway, with all of that being done with, I decided to head to fight the trilogy of the mech bosses right away. So I summoned Skeletron Prime. Wait, what the fuck? Oh my god. It turns out my dumbass decided to spawn Skeletron Prime in the same night it notified me that the twins is going to spawn, and according to the rule I can't use save and exit. Holy shit. Try not to panic, try not to panic, try not to panic, try not to panic. Freaking hell, this is not what I meant by boss rush. Thankfully I managed to take out the twins before it got any worse for me. This fight essentially became a normal Skeletron Prime fight. Actually, I don't think I can call it a normal fight due to the fact that I am indeed doing this challenge. But anyway, here is the entire fight speeded up until the last seconds. Sparing literally no hesitation, I decided to summon the destroyer right after grabbing the treasure bag, and headed home immediately. I immediately entered the Mega Sky Tunnel 3000 and then walked to the left and did this to the destroyer. Wow, that did 50k worth of damage. I did the same thing from the opposite side and managed to down the destroyer for another 50k and went up to my arena to fight it normally. Anyway, if you remember the farm I was making earlier, the one that I was going to turn into a dungeon farm. Gone. Oh, and this side too. I spent about 5 minutes clearing all the random blocks including chlorophyte ores and then placed down the torches. This transformation process essentially was left unfinished because I got too lazy to place down all the platforms. Anyway, while I was trying to go to the underworld, I accidentally stumbled across this Plantera bulb, so I decided to fight it immediately because why not? After having humiliated a certain plant, I immediately headed to the dungeon. I seriously used to think that Plantera was the hardest boss of all Terraria, but once I learned how to properly prepare an arena it became much easier, and not to mention the fact that I've started to fight Duke Fishron before Plantera in the majority of my runs. Anyway, back to what I'm currently doing. I decided to farm the dungeon for some ectoplasm so I could craft the aforementioned Pumpkin Moon event summon. Tsunami combined with holy arrows really helps with this process. One holy arrow spawned 2 stars and that means 5 arrows will spawn the 10 of them, and combining that with the ever so slightly fast shooting rate it becomes the absolute pinnacle of crowd control. Also, don't you ever think that Terraria is oddly balanced? The events like Pumpkin Moon, Frost Moon and Martian Invasion are significantly harder than Golem and Lunatic Cultist. It's honestly really weird to think about that. Actually, I'd like to take that back. I don't think Terraria is all about boss fights. They are not even the main reasons that contribute to the fact that this game is such a masterpiece. It's rather about the survival aspect and this rather overwhelming world filled with almost infinite possibilities. After having obtained Terra Prisma, I immediately went after the golem next. I recalled that there was a temple right by one of the hell elevators and went there. Also, sorry for using this stereotypical R-temple type beat. I don't really know what else I should be putting in here. Anyway, the traps are really not much of a problem to me because of the fact that there is absolutely no way it could be activated ever again if you simply just destroy the pressure plate. Other than that, I started utilizing blocks again to keep the enemies away and do some cool parkour to avoid the spike traps. Also, did I ever mention that everything in this place would one-shot me? So anyway, I started getting through the temple slowly but surely. It does not matter how long it takes. The only thing that matters in this run is that I don't die. I eventually located the altar room and immediately set up the mini arena for Golem. I beat Golem for the first time, but I think I probably forgot to record the first fight. I tried my best, but I couldn't find the recording. Only the second fight right here which is being shown to you. But I don't think it matters anyway because the boss is not too much of a challenge compared to everything before this. Anyway, I think I'll start speeding this up by 100 times now. Now it's time to head for something that would give me a bit of a challenge, the Lunatic Cultist. I said that because I didn't really practice this boss much when compared to other bosses like Duke Fishron. Please enjoy this fight. Anyway, after a bit of panic recall potion, I started grinding through all of the pillars with certain strategies. The solar pillar was probably the second easiest one since I could just walk in a straight line while shooting the enemies, so I decided to do this one first. After having taken down the solar pillar, I decided to head for the vortex pillar next so I could finally craft my next weapon. I think it's called the Minecraft crossbow. The Stardust pillar is probably the easiest one by far, since you can just kill one of the star cells, have them split and wait for them to grow up so you could kill them again. You can essentially do this at your home so you can have an easier time. Anyway, the last pillar is probably the hardest one due to teleporting enemies and some lasers. You can just circle through most of these, but you would have to watch out for the teleportation.
Oh, it's actually happening. Wow. Ah, get over here! Oh my god. When did I get to the border? Oh, it's gonna teleport and do the laser. Oh my god! Ah! No! Oh! Oh my god! I just killed it with the goddamn axe! Alright guys, here's the mod list, mostly just there for vanity and visuals, and here's the death counter. And here is what I want to tell you guys. I will also slap down this image just in case. The character was made on 26th of February and I simply just forgot to play on it until March 13. But this should prove that there was no backup being used in this run. Anyway, I feel really good after having completed this. Also, please don't ask why I'm using my voice now.